Hi, everybody. So I decided to do What Happens After We Die Part 3. And the reason is because there has been so many questions that I felt like it deserved a Part 3. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm a Dale Levine. I'm an intuitive and medium. And thanks for coming to hang with me today. For those of you who are new to my channel, and thank you for those who've come back and chosen to hang with me today. I put a trigger warning, TW trigger warning, in the title because of some of the subject matters that I'm going to cover today probably are going to be extremely sensitive, and I want people to be forewarned, and I want to be respectful about these subject matters. So I know some people had asked me to do a dedicated video to some of these. I'm going to get to the subject matters that I'm going to cover today, but I really didn't feel comfortable putting out a title of like, oh, this is what happens with this. It just didn't feel respectful, and it could be very alarming to see. So I'm warning you right now, and I'll say the two subject matters that I think will be sensitive to people, which is the subject of suicide, which everyone has asked me. And please look at below that I put the suicide prevention number for you in the description. And please reach out to help if you are feeling this way to professionals that can help you and anonymously. Also, I'm going to be covering the subject matter of people have asked me about children or baby spirits and what happens with that as well, and that could be a sensitive subject for people as well. So if you're beginning this and you feel like this is probably too much for you and you've gone through something recently, then you might want to watch this at a later time. I want to be very respectful for people who have been through this type of thing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of excuse my breaking into looking at my phone, but I want to give the number to people. I used to actually keep it on my behind me here because I actually do so many of these type of readings for people, for family members. So the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. And I know from people who work there, again, 1-800-273-8255. That it is anonymous, that when you call, the people behind the phone lines will not need your name or your location or anything for that matter. So I just want to get that out of the way. So let's get started into it. Since I brought up that one first, I'm going to get into this. It is something I really want to cover because unfortunately I do more readings of this than I'd like to count. I can't even count, I should say. And I want to break it down to different categories. There are different types in that realm that people look at this subject matter. There is people who wake up and have this idea in their head and want to do something like this, and it's more of a premeditated or a conscious effort, and we know what that looks like, and we understand that as people have planned it. They woke up that morning, or I've even done readings for people who have told me, the spirit has told me that they had planned it for weeks, one was a year in advance, and many of them tell me that there was really nothing anyone was going to be able to do or say. However, it doesn't mean you still don't reach out for help. I want to be clear. But there are premeditated attempts to life, and then there are what we call, I call, in that realm, calls accidental suicide. And that's people who are kind of being really careless, like feeling really careless about their own life. Using drugs, driving wild, doing things that can put their life into danger, and kind of have this idea that, what happens, happens. And it's not like they planned it, it's not like they want it, but somewhere deep inside them, they were feeling unhappy and feeling these feelings of not really valuing their life. Okay, so I wanted to get that out of the way because there are separate. So people who OD will often say, no, I didn't, it depends. It's case by case. The spirit will tell me it wasn't something I planned, but let's face it, I was just running around wild and I was just kind of, what was going to happen to me was going to happen to me. I wasn't exactly trying to prevent anything, I was being careless. And I want people to know that uh, just because someone may reach out to you and may tell you these things and it may seem like an attention thing, you should always take every one of these things seriously, I feel, because even if someone is reaching out for attention, it doesn't mean there isn't a reason behind it. At least that's what I've come to understand. I'm no expert. I'm not claiming to be expert. I'm not a psychologist, but just my experience of talking to that realm. In that realm, though, this is what I can be more of what I know of. And I actually talk about this on the Bigfoot Collectors Club podcast, which is coming out soon. So this probably will be good that this video is coming out before that podcast comes out, so we can I can get into it a little bit more. There is no punishment. So no, there is no such thing as punishment. When someone takes their life and they go to that realm, they are treated with what's called a rehab. So they're taken into compassionate empathy, love, and understanding, and they are given a lot of help in the sense of trying to help them heal, trying to help them understand why they felt this way, why they got to this place. Along with that, they have to face what they've caused, the pain that they've caused. So all the pain that they've caused to those around them, all their family members and people. So people often wonder, like, do they know that they caused this pain? Do they know that I'm upset? Do they know that I'm angry at them? Yes, they do. They do know, and they're usually, I have found very, very few that have said, I'm kind of mad right now, I don't want to talk about it. And that just means right now. I've actually read someone who multiple times who had taken their life, and at the beginning was just really irritated and upset, and then evolved and grew and understood what was going on and changed the way they saw things. So what I want to say to you is people do have to go through an understanding when we all pass. And if you look at part 1, part 2, and if you haven't, that would be great to look at the 1 and part 2 of what happens after we die. I explain that when we pass, we kind of go, it's almost like standing on a stage, and you go through your whole life and you feel what everyone was feeling, meaning that you feel what this person was feeling, that person was feeling, and you really, really feel like the way it felt for them, not the way you felt, meaning like not the way your perspective of it, but the way that person felt, how they truly felt in the time of your passing. All spirits have to go through this, and people who take their life have to go through this as well. And the reason why I say this, because a lot of people feel that there's an end, they leave this world and they don't have to see this world, they don't have to feel this world, and it's not true. You have to feel and face everything in order for you to evolve. So you're not just going to go off and talk to Aunt so and so and just explore the other realms without having to go through experiencing what your exit caused. Everybody who passes has to go through this, but especially those who were in pain, maybe had some things that were going on and they just couldn't deal, they couldn't face. You still have to go through facing what that was and why and all that. Basically, it's the lessons that we all go through when we're going through. However, of course, there's people, there's assisted suicide now for people who are ill, people who are dying. That's a whole different category. Those are people who are dying and need to get out of pain. That is not the same thing, and that's why I said this is very different. Those are people who would probably go through a lot of compassion and what I've been seeing as suicide rehab, and they get help and they get understanding and they help evolve. But I don't feel, from what I have seen, that they're not going through the same thing of, okay, you didn't learn this lesson and things like that. And of course, people who are being tortured, and it's very, very different than someone who's just abruptly leaving. And there's people who have mental issues, so there's a range. So I know people are probably thinking of people or experiences you've had and say, oh, is this, there's not a punishment. This is not punishment. This is just awakening and understanding and growing and learning. And even those who had to leave this plane because they were in pain or something, they still are going to go, oh, what could I have learned and grown, just like anyone else. So the rehab is more to help the soul that has left so abruptly and in so much mental anguish and things like this. So I want people to understand this, and from what I come to understand from talking to those who have passed on, how can you help? I really feel like the most of the time what I hear is just really see where they are at. Not coming from just a psychological, but see their spirit, see where they're coming from, kind of understand that they may be in this place that feels like forever. All the times, not all the times, it's someone that looks sad or looks depressed, and a lot of them do tell me that they were able to mask it quite well. I feel like as a whole, as people, if we start to kind of understand that there is no perfection, there is nobody who just has it all together and everything is great in their life, that everybody is just trying to do the best they can and everyone's going through their ups and their downs, it would help so much to feel connected. When we have this pressure that you're not supposed to feel down or you're not supposed to feel helpless, and you have to smile and make it appear to be okay, I feel like that's what gets to people. And also the most important one is not being able to be your true self. And so the more we're kind of coming together as people as a whole, and trying to see each other's true self and see each other for who they are, it really makes a difference, rather than our own perspective and judgment. Okay, so let's move on to the other subject that is a gentle subject, which is people have asked me about what happens to babies' spirits, through miscarriage or other ways that babies leave this earth early. So what I've been shown is, if you may or may not know, if you see my videos, I don't believe in reincarnation. You can look at the video I did on reincarnation, so if you want to know about that. And so because I don't believe in reincarnation, my belief goes on what I've been shown from that realm. What I've been shown is that babies who pass are still very connected to their mothers. Some babies have shown me that they want to experience this world, they want to see what it's like, but they weren't sure if they were going to stay all the way. Now, I'm not saying they come in with this knowledge. There are so many different case scenarios, so many different type of scenarios that have this cause, right? But if the baby is taken, and this is going to be a touchy subject because it's kind of political, but if someone chooses not to have the baby's not being angry at the mother. I'm a little nervous about this because I know this is definitely a belief system, and listen, I understand if people have a belief system and that's okay, but I'm just saying everything comes from love, from that realm. So I think even if you leave out the politics of all the things, you should kind of agree that love is kind of the key, and nothing from that realm is going to come not from love. So the thing is that if there is a loss, that baby is still feeling connected to you and feels like you're its mother. It's almost like an energy cord. It's not almost like, it is an energy cord that is connecting to you and the baby. And that's the same as if you're trying to get pregnant. If you start talking to the baby spirit and kind of see that cord connecting, it's like pulling that baby into the physical world from the spiritual world. Making those connections are important. And so what I have heard is that there's so many, it's very different circumstances. So in other words, it can be like, oh, well, I didn't know it, you weren't sure of what you wanted to do, and I kind of was okay with that because I wasn't sure if I was going to want to be here, or I didn't know what was going to happen. So it's very case by case. So if I were you, I would just kind of look more into your soul and feel what you feel. But I don't want you to feel that that connection goes when that happens. And I don't want you to feel like there's anger at you, because that is not what I've been shown. And it's very different by each case. I have been shown that sometimes that same spirit tries to come back and be born again at another time to you. And I have been shown that some have said, I'm just going to be the guide for the next baby. I have seen spirits, babies say, listen, I came in to kind of wake you up to the idea of, hey, I want, you want to have a baby. You weren't sure, but here I am to kind of like charge you up, get everything, get all your juices flowing, get you like not so scared about it, get you used to the idea, because I'm making room for my brother or sister to come through, and I'm going to stay in this realm, and I will be their guardian, I'll be their guide, I'll be a part of this collective consciousness. I'm good. So it is different on time. Cats, we all know. Thank you, kitties. One kitty particular. We all know that it's different for every single person. And so I feel like if you just know, children and babies obviously don't have to go through understanding and clarity and evolvement, because they're these pure souls. So they don't have to go through that, obviously. They just continue to evolve and grow. They don't have to go through reevaluating their life, of course, because these souls are different. We're talking about innocent children. I don't know, teenagers on up get a little bit different because they're getting into young adulthood, but we're talking about the young ages of innocence and things like this. So they don't really have that same involvement, but I have seen that they continue to grow. Their spirit continues to grow. Okay, so now I want to just move on. Lastly, I want to clarify again, and I've said this in all two of, I was trying to look at the time, which I can't see, of the part 1 and part 2 videos. I want people to remember, because I get a lot of questions of what it's like in that realm, and I just want everyone to remember that when you're thinking of that realm and you're thinking of what it's like, you have to take this realm completely out of this physical realm completely out of your mind. It is nothing like this realm. There is no time, there is no space, there is no physical anything. Yes, yes, yes. And it is nothing like this realm. So I feel like when people are talking about attachments, and people are talking about hauntings, and people are talking about, oh, do they need to be connected to the house? Do they have to be connected to this particular item, this and this and that? No, 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 because they are not of this realm. They are not needing to be of this realm. Also, the other thing is spirits want to help you. They don't really need you as much as you think. Like, people kind of make it like, oh, this spirit really needs me, or it's following me. They don't need to follow, because you're making it like this realm. There is no time and space. It goes on infinite. And remember, it's kind of like an onion, that we're in one layer and they're in the outer layer. So they're coexisting with us at the same time. And very lastly, when people ask, how can I see that realm? Well, I am going to do a video on how to open up your sight, open up your third eyes. People have asked me to. But how you see that realm is by talking to that realm. Talking to the people you know. Talking to the people you know. I'm going to repeat that again, because I've been asked about spirit boards and things, but I feel like when you're talking to the person you know, then you can feel and tell. The other thing is to start kind of finding a way where you journey, not meditate, but journey out. So if you're staring at something, like through nature is your thing, through music, but there's a way for your spirit to kind of move out of this realm. Try to start to see the matrix more and more and more, and it helps you to connect to that realm. When we're passing and we're drifting in between the worlds, which I cover that understanding in part 1, we're drifting in between the worlds. We're seeing here and we're seeing there, we're seeing here, we're seeing there, we're kind of in between. Then you start to realize that, wow, it's not as scary as I thought. However, you can see that realm right now. not having to pass. So these are the subjects that I really wanted to cover. You can go ahead and leave your comments. I would like to request not to get into graphic details about people you know who fall into the subject matter. Maybe you can share a little bit of how you felt or something, but when people get into real graphic details, I'm going to probably delete it because that could be upsetting for someone to read. We don't need to do that to share our understanding of what this pain and grief is like. So go ahead and definitely leave your comments, and I hope create a community with each other and kind of talk to each other. But you don't need to leave in every detail of somebody and what they did or didn't do, because that could be upsetting. And I will be monitoring the comments and deleting. Let's be respectful. Again, take a look at the description below. I put the 1-800 number, and also those of you who are going through any kind of grief, understand that this takes a long time. Grief is a long process. So this is to say there is no such thing as a solar spirit being punished who isn't punished, who hasn't done wrong. What I mean by that is people who have done wrong, and people have asked me about that. People have hurt other people and have done horrific things. They live in their own hell that they've created when they are not choosing to evolve and grow. But from my experience, most people who take their lives are wanting to grow. They were just suffering and pain here. So it is a case by case, and I understand that. So I hope this gave some understanding and some comfort. I'm sure there'll be questions. Excuse me, I just burped. I'm sure there'll be questions about this. I'm more than happy to answer them. I usually answer most of these questions anyway. And thank you so much for joining. You should subscribe. You can catch me on Adele Levine on Instagram. That's where I post most of my stuff. You can listen to me on my podcast that I co-host with my co-host and friend at Mystic Dylan. Our podcast is The Witch and the Medium, and it's actually on most platforms. You can catch us on there, where we discuss things like this. And you can now see me if you're in the LA area. I'll be at Mystic Museum with my co-host Mystic Dylan on Wednesdays. I'll be there tomorrow doing readings. You can book on their Instagram, the Mystic Museum. And let's see what else. I think that's really covers it. Oh, my website, adelelevine.com, if you would like to book a reading. And thanks for those. I've been getting a lot of you from here, and that's been really fun, and I appreciate it. I hope this helped you. Please follow yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to your heart. Talk to those people. I'm not the only one that is talking to them, but I am mediating them for you, but you have access to them as well. Just try to open up and follow the signs. Thank you so much, and see you soon.